Imagine a young millionaire sitting at a perfect wedding ceremony with everything money can buy, except the truth. When his bride takes the microphone to reveal a secret that changes everything, the entire room holds its breath. "I'm not who you think I am," she says, as the guests exchange shocked looks. But the real impact is in the next sentence. "And the man I'm about to marry destroyed my life." Can you imagine what happens next? Secrets, betrayals, and a love that may not survive the revelations of the past. But does destiny hold a second chance? You will find out now. Don't miss a second of this story. You will never be rich, Raphael. Stop dreaming and start thinking about what really matters. Hard work, said his mother with a stern tone, while he remained seated, staring at the table with a firm gaze. "Work hard? Do you think what I'm doing isn't hard work?" Raphael replied, almost exploding with frustration. "I don't want to spend my whole life racking my brain without moving. I'm going to change that. I will prove them wrong." His father chuckled softly, adjusting his shabby hat. "Don't get us wrong, son, but our family has never had anything but effort. Wealth. This is a thing for people who were born rich." Raphael clenched his fists under the table, swallowing the lump in his throat. He wasn't going to give up. Every night, after long hours of studying, he lay down imagining the life he wanted to lead. A large house with a pool, travel around the world, and the feeling of never having to fight to survive again. At school, while his classmates relaxed or had fun playing football, Raphael locked himself in the library. The teacher's gaze always fell on him with admiration. "This boy is determined," they whispered to each other. "Are you really going to try that university in the capital?" asked a friend from the neighborhood with a mixture of incredulity and curiosity. Raphael didn't hesitate. "Yes, and I have no doubt that I will succeed. Approval day has arrived." When Raphael opened the letter confirming his entry, his mother was stunned. "I don't believe. You really did it." But the tone wasn't supportive, it was concerned. "Do you think you can survive alone in a city like that?" "Not only can I prosper, but I will prosper, mother," said Raphael, full of confidence. At university, Raphael quickly stood out. During a debate about careers, he confronted a colleague. "Work for someone? No, I'm going to open my own company. I'm going to create something that truly changes lives." This is how the embryo of Edu Futuro was born. Raphael spent sleepless nights, participated in competitions, and absorbed every piece of advice from business people who visited the university. When the time came, he used his savings and invited some colleagues to form a team. Initial doubts gave way to frenzied enthusiasm. The effort bore fruit. The number of students enrolled in its online teaching platform has grown exponentially. When he reached his first million, Raphael visited his family. "And now, who was wrong?" he joked, but inside he felt something incomplete. The ambiance of the Villa d'Arte restaurant was welcoming, with soft lights and the aroma of fresh coffee filling the air. Raphael, accustomed to meetings in cold offices, felt an unexpected comfort as he browsed the menu. It was late, and he was the only customer there. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Good evening. Have you decided what you're going to order?" asked a young waitress, with a kind smile. Raphael looked up and saw Camilla for the first time. There was something about her, a simplicity that intrigued him. He was surprised to hear himself say, "What do you recommend?" She thought for a moment, pointing to the menu. "The shrimp risotto is the most popular dish. It's delicious." "I'll trust your taste," replied Raphael with a small smile. When she returned with the plate, he noticed a book in her hands. "Do you always read while you work?" he asked, genuinely curious. Camilla blushed slightly. "I try to make the most of my free moments. This one is about traveling, something I would love to do one day." Raphael was intrigued. "Have you never traveled?" he asked as he began to eat. "Not far from here, Travel is a luxury, she replied with a hint of sadness in her voice. After paying the bill and leaving a generous tip, Raphael said with a slight joking tone, "I hope you read an even more inspiring book next time." In the following days, Raphael returned to the restaurant, attracted by his curiosity to know more about Camilla. "You again?" she joked when she saw him enter. "Looks like I found my favorite place," he replied. Between ordering coffee and talking about books, they discovered an unexpected affinity. Camilla spoke about her dreams with passion, and Raphael found himself listening with genuine attention, something rare in his busy life. "Have you always dreamed big, Raphael?" she asked one night. He laughed. "As long as I can remember, and they never told me it would be easy." One day, as they walked together through Parque das Estrelas, Raphael looked her in the eyes. "Tell me you trust me, Camilla. I want to show you that dreams can come true." Camilla smiled, surprised by the intensity in his tone. "Maybe I'm already starting to believe that." The connection between the two grew with each meeting, and Raphael felt that he had found something that no money could buy, a company that brought meaning to his life. The fresh air of Parque das Estrelas was charged with expectation. Raphael adjusted the knot of his tie, trying to hide his nervousness. Beside him, the hot air balloon, a huge arc of color against the sky, swayed gently in the wind. He looked at the pilot, who made an encouraging gesture. Everything was ready. When Camilla arrived wearing a delicate blue dress, Raphael caught his breath. "You look beautiful," he said, feeling his heart race. Camilla laughed, not completely understanding the solemn atmosphere. "So where are we going? Any crazy adventure ideas?" He smiled. "Do you trust me?" She hesitated for a moment before answering. "I think so." Raphael extended his hand to help her into the balloon basket. As the equipment began to rise, she looked down, marveling at the receding landscape. "That's incredible," he murmured. The silence above was magical, just the sound of the wind around them. Raphael, on the other hand, was focused on the small velvet case in his pocket. He took a deep breath and turned to her. "Camilla, there is something I need to tell you." She looked away from the view to look at him, curious. What it was. He held your hands, feeling their lightness contrast with the weight of the moment. "Since the day I met you, my life has changed. You brought something I didn't even know I was missing. I can't imagine a future without you." Camilla was silent, her gaze fixed on him, emotion growing in her eyes. Raphael took the ring out of his pocket, revealing a simple but elegantly crafted piece of jewelry. "Will you marry me?" Camilla brought her hands to her mouth, tears already threatening to fall. "Raphael, she began, her voice shaking. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." He gently placed the ring on her finger as she smiled with tears in her eyes. They hugged each other, with the basket swaying gently through the clouds. For Raphael, that was the purest and truest moment of his life. When they returned to the ground, Camilla looked at him, still holding his hand. "That was unforgettable." Raphael smiled. "So, let's have a wedding that is even more." Preparations began quickly, with the two deciding that every detail would be unique. Camilla insisted, "I want people to feel the love we have for each other." And Raphael agreed. He would do anything to make that dream come true. The wedding day has finally arrived. The lakeside restaurant was impeccably decorated, with soft shades of pink, white, and green, creating a fairy tale atmosphere. Raphael, impeccable in his black suit, waited anxiously at the altar. He smiled as he saw Camilla approach, stunning in her lace dress with a long veil. It was a perfect moment. In the middle of the ceremony, as vows were exchanged, the sound of quick footsteps caught attention. Two faces appeared in the crowd. Camilla's parents. They had finally arrived, visibly moved. Camilla ran to hug them, beaming. "I'm so happy you were able to come." His father, however, seemed distracted. His eyes were fixed on Raphael. He turned pale, as if he had seen a ghost. Camilla's mother quickly whispered something into her husband's ear, but he shook his head nervously. When the ceremony ended, Camilla took her parents to introduce them to Raphael. "Father, mother, this is Raphael, my husband." The silence that followed was heavy. Her father looked at Raphael with a hard, tense expression. Finally he said, "Don't you know who he is, Camilla?" She blinked, confused. "Of course I know. He is the man I love." The father shook his head, his eyes now filled with anger. "Raphael Santiago, owner of Edu Futuro. He was the one who destroyed our business." Camilla took a step back, as if she had been hit. "What are you saying?" His mother intervened with a soft but equally heavy tone. "Your father is right. Our school network, Saber Mace, went bankrupt because of his platform. We lost everything, Camilla." Raphael felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. I didn't know," he tried to explain. "I never wanted to harm anyone." But Camilla, with her eyes full of tears, no longer listened. "Is that true, Raphael? Did your company ruin theirs?" He tried to get closer, but she took another step back. "Yes, but it wasn't my intention. I didn't even know who his parents were." She shook her head in disbelief. "How did you not tell me this before?" The silence was overwhelming. Camilla, still in shock, looked around, noticing the uncomfortable looks from the guests. Finally, she raised her voice, her expression hardened. "I need a break." Without waiting for a response, he quickly left for the garden while the guests whispered. Raphael hesitated for a moment before following her. He found her sitting by the lake, with her face in her hands. "Camilla, let me explain," he began. "Raphael, not now. I can't think. I need to be alone." He nodded slowly, his heart heavy. "I will respect that. But know that I love you. Above all." She didn't respond, and Raphael returned to the party, not knowing what to do. What had started out as a perfect day now felt like a nightmare. The silence in the park was broken only by the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. Raphael walked slowly through the enchanted garden, the place where he and Camilla had shared so many happy moments. He didn't know what he expected to find there, but his heart insisted on taking him back. Suddenly, he saw her. Camilla was sitting on the same bench where they had exchanged confidences and laughed. She seemed lost in thought, her eyes fixed on something far away. Raphael approached cautiously, stopping a few steps away. "I knew I would find you here," he said, his voice soft, almost a whisper. Camilla raised her head, surprised. His eyes were teary, but there was a tenderness in them that Raphael hadn't seen in weeks. "Raphael," he replied, with a hesitant tone. "Can I sit down?" he asked, pointing to the bench next to her. She nodded, and Raphael sat down, keeping a respectful distance. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Only the sound of the wind filled the space between them. "I can't stop thinking about you, Camilla." He finally broke the silence, his voice full of emotion. "Every day away from you has been a torment." Camilla took a deep breath before responding, her voice shaking. "I think about you too, Raphael. But it's difficult. Everything that happened." He turned to her, his eyes pleading. "We can get through this. I made mistakes, but my love for you is true. I don't want to lose what we have." Camilla stared at him, her conflicting emotions clear in her expression. What if everything goes wrong again? What if we can't deal with what happened? "What if we succeed?" he replied with an intensity that made Camilla look away. "I'm willing to fight for us, Camilla. Whatever is necessary, I will do it." She was silent for a long moment before finally saying, "I want to try again. But we need to start slowly, Raphael. I need time to trust again." He smiled for the first time in weeks. "As long as you need me, I'll be here." They hugged, and Raphael felt a weight lift off his shoulders. At that moment, He knew he would do anything to prove he deserved her love. The future seemed uncertain, but there, on that bench, they decided together to take the first step towards a new beginning. The road to Serra Alta wound between green hills, and Raphael looked out the car window as the scenery slowly changed. He was apprehensive. Beside him, Camilla held his hand, as if trying to give him courage. "Are you sure you want to do this?" she asked, her voice soft but serious. "Yes," Raphael replied without hesitation. "I need to show your parents that I'm willing to make things right." When they arrived at Camilla's parents' house, a simple and welcoming two-story house, they were greeted with wary looks. Mr. Ramirez maintained a stiff posture, but Ms. Ramirez offered a restrained smile. "Come in," she said, leading them to the living room. After a silent lunch, Raphael asked Mr. Ramirez to accompany him to the garden. They sat on a small pergola covered in flowers, the sweet smell of the plants filling the air. Raphael took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "Mr. Ramirez, I know my actions have hurt your family. When I created Edu Futuro, my only objective was to make a dream come true, but I never thought about the consequences for other people." Mr. Ramirez remained silent, his eyes assessing Raphael carefully. "And now, what are you here for?" he asked with a harshness that cut through the silence. "I'm here to ask for forgiveness," Raphael continued, his voice sincere. "I love your daughter more than anything, and I want to build a future with her. But that will only be possible if I can make amends for what I did to your family." There was a long moment of silence. Finally, Mr. Ramirez sighed, his shoulders relaxing slightly. "I see that you are being honest, Raphael. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to forget what happened, but if my daughter believes in you, I'm willing to try." Raphael extended his hand, and after a brief hesitation, Mr. Ramirez shook it. "Thanks. This means a lot to me," Raphael said with genuine relief. Later, in the living room, Camilla looked at the two men curiously. Her father's discreet smile was enough to reassure her. She approached Raphael and held his hand. "Thank you for doing this," she whispered. As the afternoon progressed, the tension was replaced by lighter conversations and occasional laughter. Raphael felt like a new chapter was beginning, not just between him and Camilla, but with her entire family. The first rays of sunlight illuminated the enchanted garden as Raphael and Camilla walked side by side, hands intertwined. There was a lightness in the air, a feeling of renewal that seemed to reflect the new phase they were beginning together. Raphael looked at her and smiled. "We're ready for anything, aren't we?" Camilla returned the smile, shaking his hand. "As long as we're together, yes, we are." In the following months, their relationship grew stronger. Raphael began to include Camilla in his projects, listening to her ideas and learning from her practical and creative point of view. "Have you ever thought about creating more accessible courses for small communities?" she suggested one morning. Raphael was thoughtful. "I've never considered it, but I think it's an excellent idea. Let's work on this together." Camilla smiled. "I would love." The partnership between them was not limited to work. Raphael insisted on setting aside time for moments together, like picnics in the park or simple dinners at home. "I don't want the rush to make us forget what really matters," he said as they prepared a meal together. "You always remind me of that," Camilla replied, gently touching his face. Over time, Edu Futuro began to expand its initiatives, reaching previously unreachable places. Raphael and Camilla became an unbeatable duo, balancing business and personal life with impressive synergy. "I'm so proud of you," she said, after a meeting in which Raphael presented a new project. "I couldn't do this without you by my side," he replied sincerely. One starry night, while they were resting on the terrace of her house, Camilla looked up at the sky and sighed. "I never thought my life would be like this. I spent so much time wondering if it was possible to start over." Raphael leaned over to kiss her forehead. Starting over was the best decision we made. And that's just the beginning. They sat in silence, contemplating the future with hope. At that moment, everything seemed possible. The love that brought them together had strengthened through challenges, showing that trust and forgiveness were the true foundations of any lasting relationship. What was once a tale of ups and downs has become a narrative of growth and shared happiness. For Raphael and Camilla, the journey was just beginning, and they were ready to build an even brighter future together.